What's up, guys? It's me, Tim, with the Gutter Growth Podcast. Today I got Elmer Miller with me. Me and Elmer met about 2 years ago.
This summer it'd be 2 years.
Good deal, man. Yeah, Elmer's been in the Gutter Growth program for a while. Elmer, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the business and how long you've been in and how's it going?
So I'm about 2.5 years in, and I'm in northern Indiana, so close to Michigan. Yeah, treated me well so far. I wanted something more than just a day job, and I wanted to make more money than just a day job. And so I got into the gutter business. I bought this gutter trailer off of a gentleman that was moving outside of the area. Kind of got started, and he left. He helped me about a month and left, and I was throwing the tools. Everything was hooked up in the trailer, but again, very little experience. And I wanted someone to help me coach through, how we can start creating systems. It was a day job from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. every night. And I wanted to get away from that. And that's when I hooked up with Tim, and he's helped me with, giving me a sense of direction on, reading books, how to run a business. I actually have a book that you told me about called, actually I have it right back here. It's called Profit First.
Yeah, it's a good book.
You told me about this one and read that one through. That one talks about having several different bank accounts and to make sure that you have your own profit account for yourself. Because if you don't take profit at the end of the year, you're gonna end up having a bunch of expenses, and then tax season comes, and then there's not much left over. You think there is, but it's not. So that taught me to have a separate account. Always hold yourself accountable. Set money back. That's helped me tremendously. So just that in itself was very worthwhile. I can't thank you enough for that.
So how old are you first off? You're a young guy.
So I'm 24, just turned 24 a month ago. I've been doing gutters now for about 2.5 years, not quite. So yeah. So
I was about 24, 25, I think, when I started my first gutter company. So you got a nice jump start here.
Yeah. Yep. And you're a good 20 years into it, right?
Yeah, I think it's, let me think about this, 22 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting up there.
Yeah. Right now we just have a 5 and 6 inch combo machine. We have a junior, and then we also have the extended version. Those are the only two machines we have, 2 trucks and trailers. But yeah, I'd like to get into like a Euro box or something, but that's not something I've done yet.
Does your area have a lot of modern stuff or?
Yes, it does. Not as much as in Florida. Texas, you see the vacation homes. There's just so much more of that. Now there still is. There's areas that there are, but it's not, the population isn't what it is in your area where they have, multi-million-dollar mansions with half round gutters on everyone in the neighborhood. We don't really have that. So
yep.
The demand, I wouldn't say the demand is there yet. Now we can create a demand, and I'd like to, but we're still not there.
So as far as like the box grader goes, when I got into it, I was the second company in my area to have it. Mm-hmm. And the one guy, I really don't feel like he put it on. He had it, but I don't feel like he put it in the market that well. I don't feel like the public knew about it. And now there's a market for it. There really wasn't when I first got into it, but 5 years later, I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago when I brought that style on. Now there's probably like 10 or 15 companies with it. But I think the Euro box would be like, if you're going to get into the custom stuff, some areas the Euro might not be as popular, maybe the standard box. But I think a 6-inch box gutter machine is probably the easiest, cheapest way to start to get into that custom market where you're getting higher margins because it's a rare machine that no one has.
What I like about it is you can use a lot of the same parts that you would otherwise, and it installs similar to just a regular K-style gutter. But I love K-style. Like I'm very passionate about gutters. I've often asked myself, what do I actually like about it the most? I've never had something that I'm this passionate about. And I think the reason I love gutters as much as I do is for the first time in my life, I'm fully committed to something. I know I'm doing my absolute best. and that feels good as an individual. So, yeah, it was a growth period. You're young, you're dumb, and I wanted to get away from that. I wanted a sense of responsibility, and it's given me that. And it's caused, you have to grow as a person, you have to grow as an individual. The books behind me, they don't read themselves. I've got a bunch of other books that have to be read as well. I want to learn. What book are you reading right now?
Right now, let me look real quick. I just finished A Gap in the Gain, which was really good. Right now.
So this is what I found.
Okay, so you're telling me my clogged gutters caused all this? I had no idea.
Yeah, unfortunately, most homeowners don't think about their gutters until this kind of stuff happens.
Wow.
Prevent unexpected and costly damage from clogged gutters. Protect your home with One Gutter Guard, the trusted solution for gutter protection. Call us today to find out why more homeowners are choosing One Gutter Guard.
I haven't started it yet. I'm getting ready to start Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I just watched my first. It was a podcast he did with Ed Milet, and I watched it on YouTube Music. Him and Dan Martell were going at it. He's had a tough upbringing as well. He's come a long ways. I didn't really know the backstory until that podcast. They kind of covered that, but
I'll probably learn more as soon as I get into that book. I watch a lot of his short reels. He's got a lot of good stuff to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if I was to leave someone with one thing from this podcast, it would be to always go all in. Never give yourself the option to quit. When I say that, I always have to think of the captain, and him and his men were going to overtake an island. And they came up to the island, and he knew the locals had the clear advantage. They knew the terrain of the land. They knew everything. So when they came up to the island, he set every ship on fire. And the men knew they had one option: win or die. So that's the way I look at it. That's how I look at my gutter business. That's how I look at life. And so with that in mind, if you have that mindset going in, you will win. But your thoughts?
I believe in it so much, I tatted it on my arm. Winners never quit.
I love it. Yeah. I wrote mine.
You nailed it.
Yeah. I wrote mine on my heart.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. No, I mean, that's right, man. And, entrepreneurship, getting into a business, you have to be all in. If you're not all in, I mean, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to get punched in the face over and over again being an entrepreneur. And you got to have that grit and tenacity to just keep going,
Yeah. Another thing that's really helped us in the past year is, so last year we just jumped into the SEO. About this time last year, we did our first year of SEO, and that's really made a difference. We can definitely see the results from that. You don't see it right away, but it takes time. Then we also did our paid advertising, and you told me, Elmer, just do the advertising. Do the advertising.
You fought me on it for a little bit.
I did. I closed my eyes and I did it, and we'll do it again here soon. But I think we spent $30,000 on advertising last year, and it was the best money ever spent. So there's someone out there. Tim also used to tell me, I was selling gutters for $6 a foot. And Tim used to tell me, you have to raise your price. You have to raise your price. And my mindset wasn't, I thought I was a $6 a foot guy. And then I decided, okay, no, I'm not. We're going to start selling gutters for $10 and $11 a foot, or whatever your price is. Just, you have to raise your standards for yourself. And when we did that, now our closing ratio stayed the same. We just sell jobs at a higher profit margin. So that's helped tremendously. That's also the biggest, probably one of the biggest things I've gotten from Gutter Growth is just helping me as a young individual to raise my standards. This could have taken me 4 years to figure out.
Yeah.
It didn't have to.
Doubt.
So Tim and Grant helped me elevate my standards and get me to not fight it. Just do what they say. They've been through it. Just ask questions, be teachable. And that's helped me tremendously.
Elmer, I'm pretty proud of this. When you first got into the group, you were doing what, like 150,000 revenue your first year or something like that?
So first year I did 480, and then last year we did
Okay.
1.2.
There you
So,
go. That's huge.
but
That's
I
a good first year though, 480.
yeah, but it was
And you're profitable.
yeah, we were a lot to be thankful for, and the credit's not mine; it's man above. So, and we had a great team. Still have a great team. My brother works for us. A bunch of other individuals. So Marcus, my team leader, he can go out on a job site, and afterwards we get photos. We have a checklist that we have to go over after each job site. Make sure the cleanup's done. He does a great job with that. I don't have to worry about him. He can take care of the entire crew. That's an awesome feeling. I can go do something else. I can run the other crew if we have to, or and just so.
How do you get that guy?
Just he's 17 years old. So this year he just turned 18. So he's a young kid, but just an absolute stallion. And he's hungry. He's humble. And
I feel like the 18-year-olds are the best ones to hire. I mean, that's when I started gutters, and like all I knew was just what they taught me. You know what I mean? It was like work, 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 go, go, go. But yeah, I mean that's an age where they don't have any bad habits yet, and they're really impressionable. So you could help character develop them and really get a good employee. So that's pretty cool. How many employees do you have right now?
So with my brother and I are business partners now, and but with us two included, we would have five total, and we're looking at the sixth hire here soon. With the summer approaching, we definitely need more hands. So
what do you do like for company culture? You seem to have a pretty good culture going on there.
Well, I don't know. That's always on my mind, Tim. What should we do? I'm going to tell you what we do. Then I'd like to ask you what we should do, because that's something I don't know that we have that figured out yet. I don't feel like I have it figured out yet. It's a work in progress. I'll put it that way. Every Tuesday morning we fix breakfast and, eat a little bit of breakfast, go over, just our personal best, our professional best, and professional would be at work. We kind of have just talk about things that went good. If there's an issue, we address it Tuesday mornings. I write it on a sticky note. I know exactly where it is. And then the next Tuesday morning, that entire week, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to bring it up. Tuesday mornings is when I try to bring those things up, those small issues that everybody's included, gets everybody on the same page. I'd say that's helped the most. And that's probably been the biggest game changer for me, is just to start doing that.
Yeah, no, I mean that's vital. I like that you're doing breakfast. That's pretty cool. It makes it a little bit more personable. What do you think is the biggest hang up right now in culture?
Just getting new guys out. If you hire someone new and they've never used a tool belt before, they never used a 10 snips, a downspout snips. They've never carried a 30-foot ladder around with a ladder standoff on top. You remember those days. That can be a little tough to figure that out. And so just to get someone like that, you have to be patient, give them time to learn. But just to have people come up, and you almost need a little bit of experience. There's no other way to put it. So I think time and just patience, just keep going at it. The biggest hang up I see that we have currently is probably myself. I just need to grow as an individual. So.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, us as company owners, we're the leader. And sometimes, we start a business and we're starting it just to start a business, and we don't realize that we have to be the leader in the business. You know what I mean? So it's just, yeah, I mean, I just read that one book, that Navy guy, what's his name? Jacko.
Oh, Jacko. Yep.
Yeah, Jacko. Can't remember the name of the book.
It's probably all about accountability, right?
Yeah. There's no bad teams, only bad leaders. That's that's what sticks out to me in that book. And, it all falls down on us, right? If you're not leading your team right, or if you got somebody that's kind of, the values aren't aligning and you just keep holding on to them and not letting them go – when they should be let go, you're just damaging the rest of the team. So Yeah, no, it's definitely, and even now, I mean, I'm 20 something years in the business, and I still have to keep learning and developing and getting better. I don't think there's ever like a time where it's like, I got it. You know what I mean? It's just something that you got to keep developing. And, since I've hooked up with my partners, John and Grant, they're teaching me a lot about leadership, and there's different styles in leadership, but I mean, there's a lot to learn. And I don't think that there's ever going to be a point to where you got it nailed down. So I think in business, I think it's like things get chaotic and you put systems in place and you smooth it out. But as you start growing, chaos kind of creeps back in, and it's something that you got to constantly keep working on. So I don't think there's ever like a point to where everything is perfect in business.
So in the stage we're at in the business currently, what would you say is the biggest thing that is keeping us from, doubling this year? Or what are the issues you see that we're going to run into that we're going to have to address?
At this stage of the game? So, I mean, what's your goals this year?
So our goal is 2.5, so a little over double from what we did last year. And I do have to, I'm going to back up a little bit. You asked what the biggest thing is or we need to deal with currently. And I would say the biggest thing we need to deal with currently is we don't quite have our closing ratio dialed in. We're very close. I know it's got to be in the 40s, but I don't have the exact number. And also, I couldn't tell you what our average ticket sale is. I couldn't tell you that. So, and what our profit margin is per foot of gutter, I couldn't give you that. I like to put my head down and work, and I've seen good results from that, but still sometimes I struggle at taking a step back and just, crunching those numbers. That is not my strong point, and I need to make it my strong point because that's very crucial. So I'm going to say that's actually the biggest issue we're dealing with currently, which is, again, a me problem. It's something I haven't addressed.
What does your admin look like? Like, who's answering the phone again?
Currently, my brother is, and we're just transitioning that from me answering the phone to my brother. And then we do have an office lady coming in, and she's only here like 2 days a week, but in June, when the busy season really starts picking up, she'll be here full time, and chances are she'll be answering the phone. So
as far as that goes, I mean, the CRM will give you some reports. It'll give you some clarity. It's not like 100% accurate because it's a CRM. And another thing, it's not 100% accurate. You're never going to be 100% accurate on your closing ratio. So the way I like to do it is I like to look at it, month by month, quarter by quarter, 6 months and a year. And the reason why is because you'll do a quote. A lot of people are super planners. So you'll do a quote. They have to get a house. Gutters are last. So they have to get the roof done. They got to get the house painted. They got to get the siding done. They do all these things, and then we come in last, and they want to know their expenses. So we might come in and do an estimate and literally it's a go, but we're not going to get that job for 3 to 6 months. And they may not pay a deposit because they're not ready to put money out on something that they're doing 6 months from now. So I don't think that you're ever going to be 100% accurate, but there's more clarity to it when you look in different time links.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, this is my month to month. This is my quarterly. This is my 6 months. This is my closing ratio for the year. I like a closing ratio to be around 50 to 60%. Granted that you're charging enough.
Mm-hmm. Well, we definitely aren't. I don't think we're at 50 yet, but we're higher than we were the entire last year. So we have a little bit of data. January, February, we're probably, I would say, 60 quotes into the year. So there's some data there. And I do know we're doing better than we were last year. And part of that is in August or September, my brother started doing a lot more of the estimates, and I stepped back from that. That's helped tremendously. It's taken a load off of my shoulders. He does a very good job. He did a Jeremy Minor training course with Jeremy Minor. I like Jeremy Mitchell as well. He's a good. The podcast you did with him, I got a lot of insight from that. And he's just started dialing in on sales and just figuring out different types of clients and so forth. That's helped a lot. So it's starting to get back up. It's trickling up, and we're getting a lot more jobs that we probably shouldn't have gotten, but we get them anyways just because the confidence is there and it makes sense. And then
I guess to answer your question on, what would I do at this stage in the game? Like if I'm at 1.2 and I want to double this year, get up to, 2 million or so. The thing is like to get those numbers, you're never going to get it done if you're putting it on you to get it done. Like it needs to be put onto someone else. So it could be as simple as like hiring a VA for $1,500 a month. They could answer the phone, they could track KPIs, they could do all these things. That's the answer, is assigning it to someone, because numbers aren't my thing. Like I'm not gonna, like I rely on Johnny D for that. I'm not gonna sit here and crunch numbers all day. He's the numbers guy. So it's just putting someone in place to kind of hire out those weaknesses. And it could be a VA. I mean, even if you get a part-time VA, that's all they do is just KPI track for you. You just need somebody in place to do it. So that way you have those numbers, and then having them, you'll be able to make clear decisions.
So that's actually a good point, Tim. And while we're on that topic, can you just explain to me what the advantages are of, and I know this, but I want to hear it from you. What are the advantages of tracking your KPIs?
Well, like for instance, whoever's answering the phone, it's a good practice to have them ask, where the call came from. I mean, there's other methods to track. You could have different phone numbers on each thing. But sometimes there's going to be some overlap, like whether it's organic or paid ads, like say if it was Google. So you have like a follow-up question, was it the top page, or was it on the right, or was it in maps, or, whatever. So you kind of find out where it's at, so you know what it is. But the most accurate way is literally just asking everyone that calls, but actually tracking it down. So having that admin who's answering the phone, having that be in place as a system, then you're going to know exactly where all your leads are coming from. And then you want to super track it. Like if you really want to figure out the numbers, you're going to figure out each lead source. So like this lead source is costing me such and such a lead. My closing ratio on this particular lead source is 50%, because you can look at closing ratios across the board. But if you really want to dial in your numbers for decision-making, you're going to want to do it individually. And so like AdWords, this is my job cost, my lead cost, job cost, average ticket price, closing ratio. I know all my numbers. Then you want to do that for Facebook ads and, yard signs and referrals, and that, like a referral, right? You'll probably have a 90% close rate on a referral, but if you have it all mixed in there, you don't really know. But when you separate it, now you can make decisions, because you may be running Facebook ads and AdWords, and you might be getting about the same amount of leads, but you might come to find out that your average ticket price on AdWords is $5,000 and your average ticket price on Facebook is $2,500. Mm-hmm. And so it could be real muddy if you don't have everything in black and white. And so like that's my big thing, is driving growth. So those are my favorite KPIs to run. But if you really want to make good decisions, it's having everything individually. And like for you running the business, it's going to be impossible for you to sit there and do that all day. Hire it out.
Mm-hmm. Who would you hire that out to?
A VA.
Mm-hmm. And that's someone that's Gutter Growth is hooked up with?
Yeah, I mean, just a VA, period. I mean, even if you went on Fiverr and got a VA, because we have full-time VAs. So like our VAs is going to be 40 hours a week. You got one person, that's your person. They answer the phone. They do inbound, outbound. They manage CRMs. They schedule. They pretty much do anything that someone in the office does. They'll manage social media. You can have them KPI track. But, not everyone has a need for that right now. You might not with your brother. But the point is like you need someone in place to do that. And so even if you find a VA on Fiverr for $100 a week or something, having someone in place to hire it out is going to be probably the only way it gets done. Because do you think that it's going to get done in the next 6 months if you don't hire someone else to do it?
I actually think I'm going to go with I'm going to try to get the guy to do it. But there's an older gentleman here in this area I'm friends with, and I'm going to see if that's something he'd do. So, and I think he's like maybe $100 an hour, but I know him very good. He's the best at looking at numbers, and he knows specifically which ones to look at, and he knows me good. So, yeah, I think I'm going to give him a call after this and see if that's something he'd be willing to do. What I don't want to do is last November we switched from doing paper invoices to QuickBooks, and I have QuickBooks synced with a jobber. One of the issues we ran into is so I wanted to keep we do a lot of 80% of our work is contractor work. So we work a lot for contractors, and we make good money doing it. We're efficient and so forth. You can't get as much money for it, but they send the job over. Yeah.
You're not paying for it either.
Yes. You're not paying for it either. And we wanted to keep our contractor sales and our direct sales separate. So, and we weren't doing that with paper. So I wanted a system we could do that. And I went with QuickBooks Online, and boy, that system has kicked my butt so often. I mean, I'm not as tech savvy, and I'm here trying to figure this out. And I've spent so much time trying to figure that out. I worked the entire night just getting it up, and it's now to where I can run a report in 10 minutes and figure out exactly 5 minutes, not even that long, figure out how many feet we did last week. What percentage of that was direct sales and contractor sales, what we sold each foot of gutter for. So that, I think that'll help. I'm still it's still not in black and white, but one step at a time. I've gotten it to there. I just want someone else to take it further. So I think I'm going to hire that out. That definitely needs to be done. I just want, at the end of the week or Tuesday mornings, I want to be able to look at a paper and see exactly how we did last week.
Now, kind of tying that into like the team and the culture, I think that if you could get them involved in this somehow, so that like Grant's big on that, like being pretty transparent with the numbers and getting them involved so they could see where things are at and like kind of where the goal is and then the process to get there and kind of bring them through the process. That might help company culture.
I like that. And I started doing that back in September, I think it was, of last year. I just had a big board and I started writing down, and we tracked like 4 or 5 things. We tracked gutter installation, gutter removal, downspouts, leaf guard, and I think that was it. So 4 things we tracked, just kind of our 4 things, basic, just as simple. And we figured, we tracked our hours and figured out if we do 35 feet per hour, everybody's making at least $45 an hour. So we pay by the foot. I pay the guys by the foot. So if we do 35 feet per hour, and that can be gutter removal, downspout, whatever, and that includes our driving time, the average for the entire week. If we do over 30 feet, they're making over $40 an hour.
Do you break it down by truck so you know what each truck is doing? And I
haven't done that yet. How would you do that?
So I like that you're doing that, but I would break it down like that. That's what I'm saying. Like you could have wide KPIs or you could narrow it down. And so I would break it down to where you know what this truck is doing and what that truck is doing and what their profit margin is. And now you could kind of create like a competition.
Absolutely.
This is done a lot with sales guys.
I love that. Now, Tim, how would I go about doing that?
Get that guy hired, man, and start tracking these KPIs and then just start introducing it into the meetings. I need to get
the girl that I hired is actually she's only 16 years old, but she's a smart one. She can figure things out. She's fairly tech savvy, which is actually one of the biggest reasons I wanted someone like that. And I'm just going to tell her, hey, this is your life. This is what you were hired for. And I want to help you as much as I can. But again, you're the person in charge here. This is what we need done. Now it's up to you. I don't know how to make this happen. It's up to you. This is what we hired you for. Just let her figure it out. She's going to have to. So
yeah, no, and I like empowering people like that too. So sometimes like people aren't dumb. If they have a job and they need to figure it out, they'll figure it out. And these kids they're definitely more talented on the technology than we are.
Absolutely. I have to agree. I did not grow up with that type of technology. And now to have everything, it's just to get on the laptop and do this with you was had me sweating. That was harder than installing a 50-foot gutter by myself.
My son, he's 12, and he got in trouble with me about a week or so ago. And I took
basement flooding, roof leaks, mold.
No. I have to clean the gutters.
Go back to sleep, honey. We installed one gutter guard.
Prevent unexpected and costly damage from clogged gutters. Protect your home with one Gutter Guard, the trusted solution for gutter protection. Call us today to schedule your free gutter inspection and estimate.
And I took away his phones. This kid, man, he starts like, because, the phone's got all these apps, and he wasn't supposed to be on social media. So then he figures out how to do it on the TV. Now he's so it's like he's still on his phone, but he's on the TV. So it's like man.
Oh my, yeah. So you have one kid or
Four?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not there yet. I'm not married yet, but I do have a girlfriend she helps me recharge my batteries weekends, and that's helped me more than almost anything else, because during the week I work, and sometimes I run my health down, and the weekend comes, I get myself recharged, and by Monday morning, I have so much energy and
Yeah.
ready to go.
I guess like my advice on that, in my younger days, I was just, grind. So I kind of ran through a couple of relationships because of it. So like, if you could go into business not doing that, not wearing all hats. I wore all hats for way too long. It wasn't until, 15 years into the business, 12, 15 years in the business, that I started doing it to where, I was done by 9:30 every morning before I sold.
And were you still making, $200,000 a year, or you making good money? You were making good money.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, how much do you really need? Well, that question is different for every individual, but
I think money's good. I think that I'm not with the demonizing rich people thing.
No,
because I feel like, people hate on them, but they do way more for society than anyone else. If you just only look at the aspect of the people that they hire and where that money goes and how many families that's taken care of, they're serving more people than we are. That's why they're rich. And the key to getting rich is to serve more people.
Well,
there's really no other way.
There's been times where I've been overwhelmed by the goals I've set, for this year. They are quite.
That's a big goal.
It is a big
goal.
I've been overwhelmed, but I told myself, hey, we may not hit this goal, but one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my head down, work as hard as I can, and just try to serve as many people as possible and meet as many people's needs as I possibly can. If I do that, we'll be okay.
Honestly, man, I feel that if you set a goal for yourself this year and you reached it, then you set too low of a goal. And so I think that you should set a goal a little bit higher than what you can reach, so that you're never comfortable and you're always striving to get there. You know what I mean? Because if you have a goal and you're going to get there, you're not going to try as hard.
Well, my brother and I were arguing about this very topic. So he wanted to go from 1.2 million to 3 million. I said,
no way.
We went back and forth on that one. Trust me.
It's dangerous because it gets expensive.
Well, and I was afraid we're going to make mistakes and then try to grow too fast, and I don't want to do that. I want to grow, take time.
If you get to 2 million, you're growing fast.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would be super proud if you hit that. I think you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think 2 million is too low, because we'll do that.
It's just, keep in mind, just in general, just businesses in general, they're typically spending about 6% of their revenue on marketing. So a company that's doing 2 million, they might spend 100,000 plus on marketing for the year. So, I mean, keep that in mind. So as you need more leads, the ad spend has to go up, as long as you know all your numbers.
Mm-hmm. And it's scary to do that if you don't know the numbers. And that's why I wanted to switch to QuickBooks, get things dialed in. And I can't say I've come that far. We've definitely a lot further than what we were. And so
it never feels like you're going far when you're going far. But the other day, I posted a picture of when I was sitting at a desk just starting Gutter Growth. And I sat there and thought about it. I'm like, wow, it's just me, kind of, just me. And then I brought Grant on, and now there's 7 coaches, and now there's SOPs, and, there's the Gutter Summit, and there's this whole community. And so it's just, when you look back over a longer time span, then you see the growth. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to see it in your day to day.
How many are in Gutter Growth? How many members?
Somewhere around 70, maybe.
Okay, that's where I would have put it, at 60 to 70.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's plenty more out there. Man, there's a lot of gutter folks out there. There really are.
Yeah, dude, there's a ton. I mean, I got every week I add about 100 people to that seamless gutter page.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think it's a growing industry.
Now, how come is it? Like, what's up with that? Like,
well, the thing is, man, is you're always going to need a roof over your head. And as long as you need a roof over your head, you're going to need some type of water protection. If I look at it, like, it's regional for sure. Like, if I look at Florida, for instance, we have all these hurricanes down here and like insurance companies. Well, they're making it to where if you have a roof that's over 15 years old, they don't want to insure you. Mm-hmm. So now every 15 years, these homeowners are forced to get a roof. They're going to have to get gutters. And so I just don't ever see it as being anything that could ever go away. And like, we're getting more into the information age. You know, honestly, bro, when I started gutters, I didn't know what a gutter was. Like, I came from being a personal trainer, and one of my clients is a gutter guy, and something went wrong with my training position. So I had to pivot. And the day that I showed up to doing gutters, I still didn't really know what it was. And then I seen it coming out the machine. I'm like, oh, wow. But, you know, now we got all this education and people are more aware, you know, they're getting more educated on their homes. So they're watching short reels and YouTube videos, and people are more into education. Like, YouTube just overtook Netflix on views like about a year or so ago. So it's, you know, I think that may be why it's going to increase, because a lot of times people just didn't even know they need gutters. But the more that the public gets educated, I think the more that people are going to be educated buys.
Mm-hmm. And some of the areas around here, you know, the homes, they can't sell the home unless they, you know, it doesn't pass the inspection unless they get gutters installed. So we've gotten calls and they're like, hey, we need gutters and we need them this week. We need them this week because we're selling the house. You need it done. We need it done. So I've noticed that as well. That's not something, it used to not be like that.
There's a lot of opportunity. I mean, like, I like getting into the copper market, but if you really think about it, we went backwards with skill. Like, if you see some of the copper work that they did like 50, 80, 100 years ago, and I've done jobs like in Palm Beach Island that the gutters were 100 years old. They had 100-year roofs. Like, they literally had roofs lasting 100 years. And their craftsmanship was wild. Like, they had roll breaks. Like, they didn't make it out of a machine. They were making out of a roll break by hand and breaking everything. And it's just,
wow.
We don't have guys nowadays that could do that type of stuff. So there's a whole world of gutters that kind of got lost.
Well, look at the architectural world that we, you know, the older buildings that we have, whereas the new ones they're boxes and they're square. And
going backwards.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa here. And I've heard people talk about this. We could go deeper into this, but we probably shouldn't. But, you know, that actually helps expand the mind if you see that type of environment. Now, if you're just in a box all day, you don't really go anywhere.
When I went to Philly for David's funeral, I was so impressed with their architecture. You know, they had like little statues on everything, like little Benjamin Franklin's, and yeah, they just. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it makes you wonder, like, how long did it take them to build buildings back then? Were they doing this stuff fast? I don't know.
Well, I have to say, I don't know. That's a wonder to me. I'm still amazed by some of those older buildings, and you know, history has always been a good topic for me. But what would you say that I should improve on as a person to be the type of leader that can make this happen?
I think you're in the right direction, brother. Just, you know, the thing is that as long as you know that there's always something to improve and that you always want to improve and that you keep that, you know, winners never quit mindset, I think you're going to go far, bro. You're in the right direction.
Well, I appreciate that. I did write down some things that have helped me. So 3 years ago, I was the guy that would have a DUI on my record. I still currently do. That was me. I did not have a good lifestyle. Some of the things that have helped me elevate my life And again, this may not help you. This has helped me personally. And if you don't like it, that's okay. You've been wrong before. You'll be wrong again. No, I'm just kidding. So, and the reason I like habits so much is because, if you're under pressure, you always respond with your reflex is a habit. So habits are very important. One of the biggest things I always focus on is to write a to-do list the night before for the next day. So the next day I already have my day planned out, and sure, things could go sideways, but I have three or four top things that have to be done. So I don't know. That's helped me so much. That's one of the biggest things that have helped me in the past 2 years.
I'm like ADHD, man. So if it's not on a calendar, I'll forget it.
Yeah.
It has to be on a calendar.
I love writing things down and I love crossing them off. So that's the biggest thing that's helped me. That habit has helped me so much. And that's the number one thing. The number two thing for me, the number two habit that has helped me improve my life, elevate my life, is to have a clean room, a clean house, and your car has to be clean. Because if your car is if your car is cluttered, your mind's going to be cluttered. If your house is cluttered, your mind will be cluttered. And there's a quote by Ed Milet that I really liked on this topic. He said, "Clutter creates confusion, and clean creates clarity." And so I absolutely love having a clean house, a clean environment around me. It's just a breeding ground for your mind to then develop further and think clearly.
How are you guys with your work trucks? They keeping it pretty clean?
We clean them about once every couple weeks, but we try to. That's a work in progress, Tim.
I know, that's why I asked. That's a struggle for everybody.
Yep, it is.
Yep.
Now, I know you're big on my number 3 habit, and that's going to the gym. I see you go to the gym a lot. I'd like to go with you sometime. We actually have a group of friends that go almost every morning. So every morning before work, and we start at 5. So we're usually there by 3:30, 3:40 in the morning. And we get a workout in, and then we go to work. And there's not all of us work here, but some of us work at other jobs, but just a group of buddies that go to the gym. And I absolutely love that.
Other than being fit, I was a personal trainer when I was 18. So it's definitely my heart, fitness, but it's more important. It's important to physically be in shape. But I think what working out really does for business people is it makes you mentally strong, because it's like a commitment and it's a promise, and you're either going to keep that promise to yourself or you're not. And keeping a promise to yourself builds character, it builds your self-confidence, your self-esteem. And those are all important things going into business, to be a leader, right? You gotta believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to have people follow you.
I love that. And if you're able to look in the mirror and feel good about yourself, that people see that. And if you're on a treadmill and you're trying to run and your mind bitches out at 1 mile, and you stop at a quarter mile just because you want to, think about how you feel. And I know you've experienced this. If you go to 1 mile or you go to 2 miles, you push yourself further than you wanted to go. You did something hard. Just that feeling. I wouldn't trade anything for that.
And you can't buy it, right? It has to be earned. And, people who are in shape, they're perceived as more competent, so you're going in there running your company. You're not some slouch. You're in shape. You're taking care of your body. You respect yourself. So people are going to respect you.
Now, it probably doesn't mean that we should take our shirts off at the job site.
No, which I've done plenty of in my younger days.
We've been there.
Yeah.
Number 4 habit for me is to always have your food for the next day prepared. Just have your food ready.
I love that.
Even if I don't even fix that, the food's ready. I don't have to worry about a meal today. It's all ready. Then also I take an energy product. It's a natural product. It's called Sissel. Absolutely love that. Eat healthy. So good for a person. So that's my number 4 thing.
I don't even know if you know, but I've been no sugar for like 7 or 8 years now.
Really? So no pop?
Nothing.
So what do you eat? What does your diet look like?
Only real food. So I eat a ton of red meat, a lot of steak, hamburger meat. I agree with fat. Like a lot of people think that you shouldn't have it. I believe you need animal fat. So I only eat real food. So I eat animals and pretty much fruit and water, coffee.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as long as it's real food, I'll eat it. Anything in the box, I'm not doing it. I order all my meat like straight from the farm. So I know how it's taken care of. I know that it's, you know, not being shot up with antibiotics, not being fed garbage. And I'm big on like raw dairy, which is illegal in my state. So I end up having it shipped from another state. And the reason why is because when you heat it up, it kills half the enzymes. And like if you look at a gallon of milk, it has the vitamins on it. The only reason it has the vitamins on it is because they added it in. They only have to tell you what they add in. So they're adding fake stuff, synthetic vitamins, to replace for what they killed off. And, you know, so I'm just, the way that I look at things is I think good and evil, like I think it's evil to go against nature. And so when we start manipulating all this food and putting chemicals into it, we're going against nature. And when you go against nature, I think it always kind of creates destruction.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree with you 100%. I was actually born and raised, or not born, but I was raised on a certified organic farm. And my dad grew up on about 130 acres. My brother still farms it, has a cow, you know, a couple of cows I think 2 cows that he milks, and the neighbors come get milk. So that's kind of been my upbringing. So I've always, and I've went to organic meetings where they talked about, you know, the corn that's been raised on, you know, it's non-organic. How can you spray a weed killer on, you know, how can you spray pesticide on this plant and it doesn't die? And the fact of the matter is, it's not a real plant. They had to cross-generate it with, so that corn plant's been cross-generated with so many other things to make that it doesn't die. It's actually not a real corn plant.
Yeah, I try to stay away from corn.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's.
I think Mexico might have the only real corn.
Yeah, so I don't know that much about that area, but that one topic I've always heard, and I've tried to stay away from processed foods just in general since, yeah.
I would say Mexico is one of the healthiest countries when it comes to organic. They're not doing all this nonsense to the food.
Mm-hmm. And I don't get it. Like we're like number 1 in obesity, right?
It's the chemicals. You know, you hear all these people from Europe coming over here. They're eating the same way, the same foods. It's just they come over here and they gain weight. They go back home, eat the same foods, and lose weight. Mm-hmm. So I think it's you know, more of the chemicals screwing us up than the actual fat or sugar or carbohydrates in there. You know, I think our body's used to that because it's natural. But you start adding in these chemicals, and I think that's part of the obesity. That's what I believe.
I have to agree. And eating healthy has helped me so much. You know, you get done with a long day. I can still process things. My mind's still clear. I'd take a little bit of a natural energy, and yeah.
I think people underestimate how important nutrition is to run your business. Like if your mind isn't sharp, you're not going to run your business sharp. If you're not thinking clearly, if you don't feel good, you know, it's very important. I think it's one of the most important things in business.
You take any supplements, Tim?
I take creatine.
Oh, yeah, same.
It's a nootropic, so it's good for your brain, you know. But that's about it. The way I look at it is I actually switched to goat milk, raw goat milk, so I don't drink cow milk anymore. And in the Bible, it says to have goat milk in your house, but it has every vitamin known to man in it, and it's natural. And it also has the enzymes it takes to break down those vitamins and enzymes. Like, for instance, like people are lactose intolerant. Well, that's because when you heat up milk, it kills the lactase, which is another enzyme. The lactase works together to break down the lactose. So when you take one component out of it, it doesn't have the other component. Now it's not working properly. If I drink a cup of regular milk, like pasteurized milk, I get a stomachache.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So,
yeah. Well, that's an area I need to improve in as well, because I just drink the regular store-bought milk just because it's simple. I can go to Walmart and get milk.
Easy to get, yeah.
It's easy to get. but you're actually getting it shipped to your house, which is not cheap. But I admire that. That's awesome. That's
It's expensive.
so.
It costs me like 25 or 22 bucks a gallon or a half gallon.
Where does that come from?
Dutch Meadow Farms, and they're all natural. So like my bread, I'll get spelt flour because like the same thing in the Bible, it said that bread was good for our heart. I don't believe that the bread in the store is good for our heart.
No,
So I want the real bread. So I get the bread that's made from spelt flour, and everything's natural that they have. My apple cider, I don't want it heated up and pasteurized. So I got unpasteurized apple cider I buy from there, and just different things like that.
As a young kid, I drank so much of that.
I didn't mean to hit that.
You're good. So I said, as a young kid, we had apple cider. We had the same thing, and boy, I got into that. You don't want to know what happened.
I believe it.
Yeah. So what's one area that Tim is working on currently?
Right now, I got a pinched nerve. That's why I'm standing. Normally I'm sitting, but I'm standing today, and it's kind of like running down my arm. I got a massage like 3 weeks ago, and it screwed me up, man. So I'm doing a chiropractor thing. I'm just trying to get my arm back in shape because I've been out of the gym since. So hopefully another week or so I could get back in the gym, keep rolling. But other than that, just getting this gutter company going. We got Grant down here last week. We could throw a bunch of money into it, but we're kind of doing it from the ground up. We have our first job that's getting finished up today. I quoted a couple apartment complexes, got a couple things going, but we're not actually going to start any advertisement probably for another couple of weeks. So we're kind of getting a website going and, just getting all the basics going before we kind of a little soft launch before we go hard.
So how did you get those contacts, the leads for the apartment complexes? Were those old contacts or?
No, I have a list of property managers. I actually bought the list like 2 years ago. So it's 500 property managers, and I just called a few of them, and one of them had a few properties they're managing.
You told me about that list, and that's another thing I learned from Tim Crouch on Gutter Growth. Is I told him, hey, Tim, I'm not busy, and he said, call these people. And I bought the list. It was over 1,300 numbers. I called every single one of those, except the hotel guys. Those, yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, I definitely got business through that. I picked up one of our biggest contractors last year. I picked up from that list, and it was, you only need 1 in 100. You want every couple hundred. If you have one that's a good, send you jobs from there on after. He's a good contractor, a good lead producer. Out of 300 phone calls, what's that? That's not that much. That's just call.
No, and it's just time, man. And when you're getting started in business, you either got time or money. You can either throw a bunch of money at it, or you could do a little sweat equity. And I think it's important to do some sweat equity when you're starting a startup. I really do, regardless. We're getting ready to do it. I'm not just throwing money at everything.
So you're getting one thing I'm going to push this month. I want to get more reviews on Yelp. I've noticed we're actually getting more reviews, or we're getting more leads off of Yelp than we are off of Facebook.
Now, you're not the first person I've heard say that, which is interesting to me because it was always like a restaurant thing, but it might be changing, or it might even be regional.
Well, I don't know. I need to get better at Yelp because we've gotten 3 leads on last month just from Yelp, but they're not settled leads. You get a text message from them, you reply back that, hey, you need a phone call with your phone number, and you never hear anything. So I've gotten good leads, but I've gotten a ton of just one and dones.
That KPI tracking will give you the clarity.
Yeah. What's your thought on buying another location, or not as much starting on another location, but having another Google page, 40 minutes from us, as
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I would do it like if it was a separate county. I wouldn't necessarily do it in the same county, but if you're like in a separate county, now it's like another location. And the reason why is because people in that county, 2 reasons. You'll have better reach that way because, right, you got 2 companies now basically. But people in county A don't want to necessarily do business with people in county B. So just the perception of it that you're local, whether you are or not, I think the perception of it will definitely yield a higher return.
Mm-hmm. And even though you rank high in that area, you're still probably better off having two. And, you know, Google will rank that higher because you're located in that area. So, if you get 20 solid jobs just from that, I think it'd be worth a shot.
Yeah, I mean, like the guy that bought my business, he's got 2 different businesses in the same area, but it was worth it because they bring in different work, you know?
Mm-hmm. Is he still managing both companies?
I don't talk to him. I really don't know. I mean, the 2 companies are around.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. So good talk today, bro.
Hey, absolutely. I enjoyed it.
So yeah, glad to have you on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Tim. Always a pleasure, and appreciate your help. Thanks a lot for everything you've done for us. Would not be here where we're at without your help. So I appreciate that.
You know what, man? Like, it just hit me. Like, I didn't know that you called all 1,300, you know? And so, like, I'll tell people to do the same thing I told you, and they might get to 100 of them and give up. So you got the tenacity.
I'll tell you, I'll put it this way, Tim. You don't see me on social media. You don't see me. But the way I view things, if I'm going to listen to your podcast, I had better do everything you say to do. So you also told people to put out 500 yard signs. Who put out 500 yard signs? I think I did. Or my brother did. Like our company did. Not me, our company.
And bro, that's why you went from 400 and something to 1.2.
Absolutely, yes.
And that's why you're going to hit it to 2 million. So
yes,
I think if anyone could learn anything from you on this podcast here, is its tenacity.
Put your head down and work.
Yep.
And to me, there's what's the use of listening to podcasts or listening to reading a book if you're not going to do what it tells you to do. So that's the way I view things. That's my
mental masturbation, just execution.
Mm-hmm. So don't complicate it.
Yep. Good deal, man. It was good having you on here, and I will see you at the next meeting.
Thank you, Tim. Bye-bye.
See you.